Next series here on the main stage is going to be Nerchio going up against Impact in his Zerg versus Zerg. Obviously, this is a potential for one of these two players to actually qualify for the group stage and play in front of the live crowds overall. What are we thinking, guys? Nerchio, when it comes to performing here in Poland, is always looking for those good performances.
Yeah, like, he really wants to get through here, especially because there's a ton of really good Terrans that are going to be waiting in the loser bracket for him. And even though Nerchio, I would say, has absolutely one of the best Zerg versus Terrans that there is, just between the map pool and the quality of these Terrans, that is going to be a really hard match. So, I mean, obviously he wants to kill Impact here, but I think stylistically, Impact has some pretty good Zerg versus Zerg that I think will match up reasonably well against Nerchio.
I'm pretty confident that Nerchio is going to do well here.
Okay.
I think he's one of these guys who's got such experience playing all over the world. Not only that, but I think he is really hungry. And I don't normally talk like this, but I think he is pretty hungry to get in front of that big Polish audience and perform there. And when the pressure's on for Nerchio, he really does bring out his best games.
Yeah. It feels like the European Zergs have always kind of been, in the last year and a half or so, maybe apart from an outlier like Showtime or Neeb or EU Thermal, it's always been the Zergs from Europe that have really been the standout players from the foreign scene. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like, you look at, for instance, Nerchio, this is like one of the highest level foreigners of all time. Stefano, like probably the most legendary. Snoot is always considered like one of the top guys no matter what. Absolutely, like, it's such a history of rich Zergs, and as Rotterdam was saying earlier, if you're a good European Zerg player, your Zerg versus Zerg just has to be good by definition.
Yes, and definitely. All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll check in with some more games later on down the line, though. For now, we're going to head over to that Zerg versus Zerg as Impact goes up against Nerchio for a spot in the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice groups.
Thank you very much, Kalara. It should be a very fun ZvZ between one of the absolute best Zergs that Europe has to offer, and obviously a name that we were looking very much forward to seeing in action here. I mean, we want to see Nerchio do well, right? We always like to see Nerchio do well because he really had a resurgence of personality, I would almost say. He became so funny and he became so chill. But this is in Poland, and we would love to see him have a deep run.
Yeah, and Impact's pretty good. Remember his bracket performance at DreamHack?
Yep.
When he beat Jaedong, which is the guy that he said in the documentary that he was looking up to the most. Like, that was like almost scripted. It felt like that was insane. And ever since, he's grown a lot, and he's improved a ton, and is still around here in this tournament, and now looking to try and qualify for the group stage here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
Yeah, I said it before, I really think this is kind of a dream bracket for Nerchio so far. Like, this was a very tough bracket to be seeded into. I mean, with 5 Koreans, only 3 players qualifying for the group stages. And guys, if you think the Intel Extreme Masters is fun right now, make sure to tune in on Thursday and Friday, because that's when it's going to be 10 times as much fun. The group stages are going to be incredible, Todd. I'm looking forward to it, seeing some of the absolute best Korean players in the world go up against the best what the rest of the world has to offer. Yeah. It's going to be so damn cool. Can't wait to see guys like Zero and Neeb as well.
And let's theorize here. The loser of this match will fall in the bottom part of the loser's bracket, and then let's say Luzira beats the guys that he's going to have to face. He would face Luzira, and not only have to win that match, but then another one that could include guys like either Bunny or the loser of Jack G and Gumiho, which is pretty tough.
I think it's safe to say that if Nerchio wants to make it, this is the golden opportunity. I'm not saying that it's impossible if he drops to the lower bracket, but it would be so much easier to just win this one best of 3 against Impact. A very, very strong Zerg player, a very aggressive Zerg player, but it really doesn't get much better than this for him when it comes to his chances to qualify for the group stage.
Starting in the bottom right-hand side of the map, it is, of course, the Polish legend Nerchio. He loves his emotes every single time.
I really like the colors of his jacket, representing aeronautics, and obviously having that personal sponsorship from Red Bull Poland as well. Super happy to see that. Over here on the left top side of Abyssal Reef, we're looking at the main base of our Korean Zerg player. It's Impact. You know, Todd, we haven't shown any of the games of these guys so far on the mainstream, but we did jump into a couple of fragments once or twice, or a couple of moments of the series they played before. I actually watched Impact go up against Risky, a pretty strong Zerg player from the UK. One game was just kind of a straightforward game where Impact went for 2-base Muda and he got a lot of damage done. That was Newkirk, and we saw him go for a very aggressive opening on Abyssal against Risky, which is kind of what he's doing again, but this is very different because this time it's an early pool with a couple of links, but no speed. In the previous game that I mentioned, we saw him open up with a whole bunch of speed links and then followed up with 6 to 8 Bane links, which kind of just secured the deal, and he won that game in 6 minutes or so.
Yeah, we'll see if he can achieve anything here against this build from Nerchio, which was just a traditional spawning pull into hatchery. I've seen great defenses from Nerchio in the past, but there is always this special feeling of seeing foreigner against Korean, right? Where you just feel like the Korean's almost gonna he's gonna be able to do better almost every single time, right? So we'll see if Nerchio is able to stay calm here and handle that situation properly.
Yeah, the Overlord is making his way across the map. It's important for Nerchio to identify that this is not a speed opening, which is something he can't possibly know yet. Yeah, he gets a link. Might be able to get a second link there. It's starting to get a little bit close, but 2 of his own links are running rather low on HP. Good micro there by Impact. Saves his low HP link.
The drones are coming. Nerchio is going to try to save this at the last second here. Queen is almost there as well. Impact a little bit indecisive, was targeting the hatchery. I think he thought maybe that he should go for it, but no, he turns around and goes for the drones. He's actually trying to win a fight here against just these drones plus the Queen. And Nerchio is going to be forced to evacuate that position for a moment.
Well, losing the Queen and losing a little bit of mining time as well, and this hatch still being low on HP. It's hard, but so far he has saved the hatch, and that's obviously important. And don't forget that Nerchio is going to have access to link speed a lot quicker than Impact, so perhaps there is something Nerchio can achieve on the other side of the map. I'd say that was a pretty good hold, right? I mean, obviously it's not the cleanest hold we've ever seen. Because
if the Queen had lived.
Yeah, then it would have been fantastic, I agree. But it's still good enough, I'd say.
But still.
Speed halfway done. You know, Todd, if there's one thing that I truly love about Nerchio's ZvZ, and that's what I saw in his games against Paranoid as well, he's so damn good when it comes to fungo and bow. If you give him a whole bunch of roaches and a couple of Ravagers and then 3 or 4 infestors, he is going to nail that each and every single time. I really think if this goes up to 4 bases, I favor Nerchio, but can he get there without falling behind?
And it's easy, usually it's pretty harder to aim for that. That would be like in the old days, try to aim for Tempest in PvP. Like a lot of the time you're gonna die before.
I thought you get it all the time, Todd.
Well,
you
all the times that I talk about it, yeah. All these other times, no.
Obviously, we can't forget about this hatchery that did take a little bit of a beating early on, and that's something that you have to worry about. I love what Impact is doing here. He's trying to block the Queen. Some Warcraft 3 micro here. Look at that, Todd. Flash. Is he gonna be able to save the Overlord? No, I don't think he will. But at least he's making it so damn hard.
Yeah, that was nice. Actually, no, he does get away. Fly away for your freedom.
Oh my god, it lives.
Yeah, this was sick, actually.
Wow.
All this effort wasn't in vain.
Those two links, they deserve a tiny little medal there. Not a big one, a very tiny one. First roaches are on the way for Impact, who is actually 7 workers behind, which gives me the idea, Todd. He even made a spine as well. Maybe he was worried about the link counter flood from Nerchio. Maybe he misread a tiny bit what was actually going on there. But Impact's making a lot of roaches, and it's important for Nerchio to pick up on this as quickly as possible. The spine could actually give Nerchio a false sense of security, where it's like, you know, my opponent was worried, I have nothing to worry about. And then suddenly it's like, surprise, surprise, 9-10 roaches are running across the map.
Yeah, he's gonna have to be on point with the scouting. The fact that there's no Overlord just right outside the wall of here of Impact from Nerchio.
Yeah, I'm starting to get a little bit worried.
Actually, yeah, he wouldn't spot that for a long time.
He needs to start making roaches as soon as his roach warren is done, and I'm not sure if Nerchio is even thinking about the amount of roaches
right now, so I think he has some sort of sense that this could be coming. Let's see. Two more Queens on the way as well, plus 1 missile.
I think he needs at least 5 or 6 roaches to be able to defend against this. With just a couple of links, it's really not going to be enough.
That. Okay, he starts roach production. I guess he seems to know, regardless of being able to spot it early on.
I guess technically you could say that even losing that 3rd hatch wouldn't be the end of the world for Nerchio, as long as he doesn't lose more than that. Because he does have +1 missile attacks on the way, and Impact has been cutting workers. Good micro there by Impact, morphing one of those roaches into a Ravager, but might not be enough. Oh, okay, he will finish up, but it's also going to die.
An impact behind is slow roaches who take forever to get across the map, so he's gonna flood with mass links. Let's see if he can regroup with everything. Nerchio waiting for some Ravagers to finish to try and defend that third base. He knows that Impact doesn't have a third base, so even if that dies, it's not the end of the world.
Nope, I really like that call. I think it's a pretty mature decision. He's buying a little bit of time. One roach will get picked up, but with the Ravagers and the Queens here, I really can't imagine a world where Nerchio dies. He really shouldn't die, especially with the much quicker reinforcements, which will obviously come from his main and natural as well. And the Queen stuff, they will be able to transfuse a lot.
Did you really think you were gonna come to my country and beat me, Impact? I don't think so. He's gonna chase him away and take a huge supply lead here. Tech starts right behind us here for both players at pretty much the same time, but Nerchio, with the lead that he has here, he can most certainly counter and threaten Impact quite heavily. He's gonna get rid of all of these roaches as well.
That's a good surround on these links. GG, just like that. Nerchio will take a 1-0 lead here. Starting to get a little bit worried as it took a while. You saw a little, not really a fist bump, but a nod there. He gave
a cheeky nod.
Yeah, a nod of approval.
Like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Not bad. That's right. You know, that's the only way you're gonna beat me. If so, but not even. Solid game by Nerchio. Was a little bit worried. The roach one was late, but he did a good job in buying time with the links. And I think the decision not to be out in the open, trying to defend that hatchery at all costs, was the most mature decision Nerchio made there. He's like, you can take it out, it's okay. I know that I've been mining more than you, and with the Queens here and my incoming reinforcements, I'm not gonna die.
And it seems obvious as observer and stuff, but sometimes, even when you're in-game and you look at your opponent's army, like you choose to take a fight that you know is not right just because you have that fast sense of, I need to defend that third base. So, very good choice, I think, from Nerchio not to try and go for that.
Yeah,
Nerchio actually has a perfect winning record so far against Impact from previous tournaments. They've only met twice before. The first time was in 2015, and they've met again this year in the OSC Championship. And that was a 3-2 for Nerchio back then.
Well, let's see if he can continue that. But before we're going to go ahead and jump into game number 2, let's take a look at what's going on with Colaris and the boys.
Thank you very much, gents. Yes, indeed, we have 3 series currently going on here on the desk at the moment. We're going to check in with Maynard first, who is at the moment 1-1 between Paranoid and Kerr. What's happened so far, Maynard?
There has been a whole lot of sky toss happening, James. Didn't work in game 1. Game 2, it did work. It got that magic carrier count out. It was like 7 or 8 carriers, Void Rays, everything that he needed to get it done. And it is happening again in game 3 here on the underground. So Kerr seems to be the Stargate Protoss here. He likes to take it to the skies to get the Golden Armada going on. He opened with Oracles again, getting that upgrade that's very tough for me to say. Phoenix Range, as I'd like to call it. And Paranoid...
Isn't that Graviton Catapult?
Oh, that is Graviton Catapult. This is the one that is easy to say.
There you go.
That is for the carrier interceptors there, and this third Stargate going out. So it's really just exactly the same build as last game.
All right, well, thank you very much, Maynard. Now moving on, we did have Artosis in Arcta versus Malcolm.
Yep.
Did the series conclude, or?
It did. Arctur ended up taking game number 2 on Newkirk Precinct, but Malcolm made a really good game of it. Like, he went mass Roach Ravager on 3 bases.
Yes.
And, like, there were times where he was attacking uphill into, like, 5 siege tanks, and he still kept breaking it, but the counter harassment got too many drones, and over time, Arctur was able to pull it out.
Right, and finally, I think, Tasteless, you had Lucira versus Risky.
Yes.
Risky was in an okay spot, but...
Yeah, Risky was on 3 bases at a ZvZ. Lucira was trying to, stay on 2 bases and just power over him.
Yeah.
It didn't work initially, but then when Lucira was starting to take his third, I think Risky got a little bit too aggressive, pushed in, it didn't work, and then the counterattack ended up squishing him. If you want to go in this game real fast, actually, I guess there's not much I can really show you.
No,
We're
it's
just
fine.
right at the start. So these are the 2 starting locations on this map. This is
In the bottom right.
This is
Our third player, 1 of 2.
It's the wrong desk. It's the wrong desk.
This game, so far, this game's looking pretty normal. It's, 1-0. So, we'll see. We'll see. We could just look at the production tabs for now. But, that's all I got to say for this series.
That's my story,
All
guys.
right, now Lucira up 1-0.
I like the idea of you can't get out of caster mode. You're just totally in it.
Yeah.
Let's go to our game or let's introduce the players. All right, it's time to go back to the proper game that we have currently going on here as we head back to the Caster SC here at the Intel Extreme Masters.
Thank you very much, James and the boys as well. I particularly love that Tasteless update. That was...
We should get him on the desk for every series when he's not casting. He's just... I love it.
I don't know if this was better.
Artosis as well, because Artosis, he always has like the lesser known players, but somehow he's super enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
He's like, let's jump into this Ziggy game right there. And You gotta love these guys.
Maynard's
Such a good
game
job.
actually seemed a little bit fun. Triple
Yeah.
Stargate, carriers, honor grounds. I love it. +1
I always
air
wonder
weapons, by the
what
way.
Kerr means, but apparently it means carrier.
Oh,
It's almost the same.
really?
No, I'm just joking.
I don't know.
I'm joking, mate.
Alrighty, we are loaded into game number 2 between this man spawning on the right bottom side of Belcher Vestage. Can he make a lot of Polish fans very happy? It's Nerchio. Yes, it almost looks like he's leaning to the side a little bit, and he's looking over his shoulder at the game. Do you see that? He had a very majestic pause.
Like you when you're casting, Rowdy. And his opponent, starting the top left-hand side, playing as the Blue Zerg, it's of course Impact. One of the legendary Axiom players of the past.
When I think of my pole start, I think it's anything but majestic. I'm leaning over, having bad posture, and I unbutton my jeans because I'm too fat. So there's nothing majestic about my pose, but I appreciate
That
a lot.
feel when you wanna unbutton a button, but it's already unbuttoned.
It's like, oh, the jeans are a little tight. It's like, oh my god, I gotta go for 2 right now. It's like, that's it, no more fast food. We're going on a diet. Big game, very big game. Obviously, if you qualify for the group stage of the Intel Extreme Masters, you will secure yourself of at least $1,000. But more importantly, you have the opportunity to play 5 very big series against some of the best players in the world. It's really cool as well. A tiny addition that not a lot of people know about, Todd, is that every series you win in the group stage, you get $100 for it as well. You know that?
No, I do.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. You know,
Esports earnings.
it gives a little bit of extra motivation as well for the guy that goes 0-4. It's like, God, you know, I really don't want to play this last series. But then they still have something to play for at least. And, you know, any chance that you have to earn $100, why wouldn't you?
And keep in mind, we're in Poland. Poland took 2nd place in the last Nation Wars. They're the vice world champions.
Oh, they were so close.
Yeah, and Elaser did not make it in the tournament. I think that's a little bit of an upset. It's going to be up for Nerchio, Mana, and Guru to try and achieve that if they can. I would say Nerchio is the one I'm the most confident in, even though Mana will play later today in that bracket number 4. It would be nice to have some Polish players playing in Spodek, man.
I think it only comes down to one thing when we're looking at Mana, Todd. Which jersey is he wearing? If
I thought you were going to say, does he meet Terrence or not?
No. If he has the pink one, he gets my vote of confidence. But if he's going for blue or white, I don't know. So far, the track record of the blue jersey, it's just not there yet.
You're obsessed with that, man.
Well, I mean, I see a trend, Todd. I pick up on trends very quick. That's the instinct in me. I always feel like I see something like, this is a guaranteed. It's a winner. We see 2 Banelings morph all the way on the left side. 10 additional links being produced as well. Seems like Impact wants to go back to his roots. He wants to be very aggressive very early on.
I think he might want to try and sneak that around where there wouldn't be overlords usually to try and get a detonation on a couple drones. But Nerchio is actually going to find this.
Come on, split the links 1 by 1. Oh.
I mean, just being able to find it, right, means that there's going to be a lot less of a threat from it. And Nerchio starts a lot of link production because he realizes that he's going to be hit behind this and Impact with the lair.
Super quick layer. Probably wants to go for 2-base Muda. We saw him already throw down a Spire early today at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And the reason why he makes this many links and veins early on is because he wants to distract his opponent. He wants to keep his opponent busy. He doesn't want to win the game here. Doing a little bit of damage is nice, but he wants to make sure that Nerchio is occupied in dealing with this and that Nerchio is not worried about the super quick layer that's going on the other side of the map. I hope Nerchio picked up on that.
Yeah, he saw it. Just going to send a couple links over there to make sure he can clear that up. 2 more gases for Impact, who's going to need a lot of that for his Muta production.
Flawless defense so far by Nerchio, though. I'd almost like to see Nerchio make a few more links and perhaps try to do something on the other side of the map.
He's done really, really good. So far, by the way, we qualified 3 Protosses, 2 Terrans, and 1 Zerg, so I guess some more Zerg was overdue. This is going to fix that at least a little bit with this match here.
Perfect balance once again. David Kim.
Kim, you're the best.
Always letting his justice rain from above. Sitting there in California.
Got the wrong.
Oh, that's a good little scout there. One happy Zergling from Nerchio making it into the main. Not only spots the layer, but he saw the Spire there as well. And I truly wonder, Todd, what is his answer going to be? Are we going to see just a whole bunch of drones and more queens? Or is he going to tack up very quickly and maybe try to defend with Hydralisk? It could potentially be a Nidus play, but I think the most important thing is right now, get as many drones as possible. Obviously get the spores in time, but he doesn't need them just yet. And I'd like to see a few more queens. I always think it's very nice to have like 4 or 5 queens. He was getting Burrow for a split second there,
nice.
but he quit.
The traditional misclick, or miss hotkey. Anyway, with that even walker counts and third bases being taken at similar timings, which just actually no, Nerchio has the one quite a bit earlier.
Ooh.
If he can saturate that efficiently, even if he loses a bunch of overlords in the middle of the map, because usually with Mutas you will go for the overlords in the middle of the map. They're not too like, you know, you would see against Protoss to fly into the opponent space, start killing walkers and stuff.
Nerchio has quite a few more links here. Would be fantastic. No! That would not be fantastic for Nerchio. Great connection there for Impact. I want to say it would be fantastic news for Nerchio if he's able to get a cancel on that hatchery.
Just like at home Stoica, probably.
Yeah, it never stops, though. I'm cursed. But I've actually accepted it a long time ago.
Ooh, that one Baning gets saved, actually.
There was still one other bailing.
There we go again.
Well done, Todd.
So sick.
It's important for Impact that he takes care.
Oh!
Wow. Nice play by Impact. He's really setting up these big connections. Nerchio's trying to find an opening, but Impact is actually playing fantastic StarCraft here in the last 2 minutes of this game. I didn't love his opening, especially after the scout. Wow, gets a queen there as well. But the last 2-3 minutes, I feel that Impact is almost doing everything right.
Yeah, Impact knows that he's not going to be facing Mutas, so instead of going for Carapace, he gets +1 attack. Roach 1 plus Evolution Chamber transition behind this. This is standard. And Nerchio still being a little bit aggressive here with his own links. Let's see how many Overlords these Mutas can kill. Because there's... How many? I see 3 in the middle of the map.
Yeah, one on the top.
Yeah, one at the top and these 2 here in the middle.
I actually think if you're Nerchio, you send that one on the top, or it's hidden anyway, I think on the high ground. I think that one is going to be pretty hard to find. Oh, well.
It just keeps getting better.
I thought it was on the high ground there, so it would be hidden. And normally you don't really fly to the corner of the map with your Mutas, because there's something better to do. But apparently it was idling on creep, so.
In Control is watching right now and just having a laugh.
In Control is always having a laugh, though. He wakes up with a laugh. He looks at his puppy. I forgot which breed it is. It's a very cute dog. So the Infestors are on the way for Nerchio, and Burrow is halfway done now as well. This time it is for real. Impact is the type of Zerg that likes to make a lot of Mutas. Now obviously I think if he spots the Infestors and he knows that Infestors will be on the way, and there he sees the Infestation Pit, if he didn't see that before yet, I don't expect him to go crazy and make 20 Mutas. That's just way too risky. So he's probably happy with the 7, 8, 9 Mutas that he produced. He's going to try to find openings, pick up a couple drones here and there, maybe an Extractor once or twice, and that's it. Then just try to win the Roach battle. But Nerchio, I said it before, Todd, when it comes to Infestors and Bao, Nerchio's an absolute madman. I love watching him earlier. I think he's incredibly good in ZvZ late game.
Steph Curry of StarCraft. But he's only 3 points, man.
Never misses. These Mutas are doing some serious work, though.
I've said this before, would you say Nerchio is like the best fungal user in the world? Ever since Swingles of Liberty, like which back then obviously was very different, but he was just so good always and pretty close to perfect at landing those. I don't think I've ever seen anybody even like close to using those as well as he does.
No, I think you're onto something. I think it's always hard to really give credit title like that, but he's obviously very good with it. He's very confident with it. First Pongo is not the greatest. Second Pongo is a lot better. And a couple of corrosive balls will ring down immediately. Does Nerchio have enough though, Todd? He's down 20 supply, and a lot of it is in Infestors.
Yeah, Roach-wise, he was just not there yet. This could be a very good timing here for Impact to come into this third base with a ton of Roaches still left over. Drones having to be pulled, and so many of them have already died, and the Mutas are going to reinforce that fight.
Wow, and it seems like Nerchio was just preparing for a later stage in his game, already getting +2, investing a lot in those Infestors, ending up losing 15 drones here, and this could very well be it. Just having a couple of Infestors was not going to be enough here. The Queens are going to show up as well. It would be a miraculous hold if Nerchio can do it here. Maybe fight a little closer to the Spore, let the Spore help out a tiny bit. It's hard to say what's truly going on because of the burrowed units, but I feel that Impact just has too much.
Yeah,
as I'm looking at the supply, Todd, and numbers don't lie.
They certainly do not. The supply never lies, Roddy. +2 didn't even finish on time for this. This was just a perfectly timed attack from Impact with which he did so much damage, and I think what triggered that is that he saw the infestation pit between the two bases. and he probably knows Nerchio a little bit. They've played before. He was like, you know what? You want to go for infestors and more upgrades? I'm just going to attack and kill you. GG.
Excellent game by Impact there. That was truly beautifully played. Early on, the very first attack didn't do that much, and his stack was revealed. I was starting a little worried for our Korean Zerg, but then he had 2 great Bane connections on the links, and from that point on, once he got the mutas out, I really felt he was playing excellent. He was getting a lot of pickoffs, good movement, never really overcommitted to anything, and then he, like you said, Todd, a perfectly well-timed attack there on this third base of Nerchio, while Nerchio was getting ready for the next phase of the game, right? More Ravages, more Infestors, more Roaches. 4 bases. He was even sending the drone out. Impact Sack, none of that. You know, I think I have a window here. He went for it. Only had 20 supply more or so, and that is actually not that much when you have to run to the other side of the map, but it was enough.
Yeah, it's like when you watch those great PvPs and then there's just like 2 or 3 more units from one of the Protoss, and it's like, I realize that, I'm going to attack and kill you. And even us as observer are like, oh, how did he know? That was the same thing there. Impact knew that this was going to be the one window he can win with, and he was completely right. After all these drones, man, drones are pretty bad against roaches.
Most things are pretty bad against roaches, though.
Yeah, but drones in particular, like he brought those in there. Like I feel like even like Colossus and Disruptor, you know, they would kind of take a long time to kill them. But like now he just like pulled them, they died like instantly.
I mean, that was just a very hectic fight because of those 5 burrowed infestors, right? You see those hit points and you see a whole bunch of red, and you're like,
we're hyping the fungals, and I don't even think they were that good either, maybe.
No, the first one kind of whiffed. The second one was alright.
It was like on the left, only catching a few of them. If he had caught a lot of them and like weakened their hit points.
But obviously Impact was aware of the infestors as well, so he wasn't walking around in one big ball, making it harder for Nerchio to land those fungals. But yeah, the curse continues.
Look at his hoodie. Zoo.
That's a very happy hoodie. You know, when I was young, Todd, I had a little Tweety bird. And then one day I came home and my mom left the window open and it flew away.
In front of you?
No, like it happened when I was gone. And I was like, oh my God, can we look for it? And then my mom said, no, you're never going to find it. It won't come back. I was like, no. Its name was Tweety as well. I was very attached to my little bird.
I feel like it's one of the stories where like a cat ate your bird and then your mom was like, I'm not going to tell him.
No, that's terrible.
He flew away, he's free.
You want to know, while we're waiting for game number 3, Todd, do you want to know one of the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me as a little boy? You know, I used to have
as a little boy, sure, because I already know as an adult. So.
No, I used to have a hamster, and his name was Bobby, and I really loved my little hamster. And then one day it died. And on this point, I was like 6, 7 years old, right? And I loved my little hamster. And then one day it died, and I was like, oh no, Mom, it's not moving. And then she's like, oh, you know, she realized like, oh, the poor kid, you know, his hamster died, and he really liked the hamster. And then she's like, well, we can bury it, you know. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we put it in the bag. I was like, but Mom, don't you have to pinch holes in it? Otherwise it can't breathe. I didn't know any better, Todd.
Oh my God.
My mom was like, sure, Kevin, you can do that. Alrighty, we are loading into game number 3. Cactus Valley, a very big series between this man. He's going to represent the hopes and dreams of a lot of Polish fans that hope to make it to the Spodek Arena and see this man in action. It's Nerchio. You see, that's kind of a majestic pose. He's leaning a little to the left.
Looks standard to me.
Oh.
He's not slouching at least. And his opponent, then gets the Blue Zerg, finally bring it back in the last game. It's of course Impact. Very focused. And it should be, because the qualification's on the line here.
Yep.
Best of 1! I hate when people do that. It's best of 1!
It's 1-1 in a best of 3. It's basically a best of 1 right now. It's like, wow, guys, some great commentary over here at the Indog Stream Masters. Nothing but knowledge bombs. We saw a relatively early pull from Nerchio, but he's following it up with the expand as well. So nothing too crazy. Cactus Valley cross map. I think that's fun, Todd, because that gives both players a lot of ways to maneuver around their opponent and set up some sneaky counterattacks. Maybe morph a couple of Banes in the corner of the map somewhere and try to wiggle their way into a mineral line.
Yeah, I love when we get to that position where players are on 4 bases and then we see roaches being burrowed and basically being used to the full of their, or the most of their capacity, right? Like, roaches are not just a unit that you mass and all in with. I would like to see a longer game.
Yeah, me
ZvZ,
too.
like, they're quite rare, but sometimes we get these gems of games with like Hive Tech and all that actually end up lasting a very long time. And you said yourself you would favor Nerchio in one of these, so it would be pretty cool to see how it would go down against Impact there.
When it truly comes down to 4 bases up and running and at least like 2 upgrades, and you can choose the ideal mix of Roaches, Ravagers, Infestors, and eventually go for Hive and then +3, or maybe try to squeeze in some Broodlords. I really like Nerchio in that phase of the game, but will it get there? Impact is traditionally a very aggressive Zerg. And once again, guys, we're not hyping this game up just because it's bracket stage and we have nothing better to do. This is a big series for them. If you lose this, you have to win 2 more best-of-3s to make it into the group stage. And Todd, you mentioned it before, you go up against some very strong players. You could get a Bunny, you could get a Gumiho, you could get a Jockey. These are not guys you want to play for your tournament live.
I like a lot what Impact did, by the way, with his second Overlord, because he sent the first one on the top right. And then he was like, if Nerchio was on the bottom left, he might have sent his Overlord to my base. And because he didn't see an Overlord, he's like, it's probably cross-map. So he sent his second Overlord towards the top left already. And now because of that, he's going to have 2 Overlords in great position to spot any Zerglings of Nerchio leaving his base, which is really nice, obviously. Like, you want to know when your opponent's coming towards you with units.
10
getting links.
10 links indeed on the way. Where are the Banes morphing? Probably on the left middle side, right? Yep, there we go. Yeah. Wow, beautiful. Right next to the Intel Extreme Masters. Now that's the man who knows about branding, Todd. Carmack is sitting at home. He's like, you know what?
Future champ.
Yeah, that Impact guy. I see a great future for him. The same.
And Nerchio only has 1 Overlord, like very far across the map, and he's not even in a good position. He's like over there.
But the third hatch was a little bit late. He does find the Banes once again. That's actually not that bad of a connection, as he gets 3 links in the end. It could have been a lot worse. Will he be able to keep this one happy Baneling alive? Yep, he does. Good job there by Impact. Nerchio's going to have to be careful.
His third base is going to be under a huge threat there. He's getting a ton of links right now to try and hold on to it, whereas Impact is droning up.
I think Nerchio is also attacking on the other side of the map. But that's not a very powerful attack. However, the Queen should keep this hatchery safe for now, and I think both players will just slowly but steady go back to droning. Wow, Impact, sneaky boy. Has managed to, well, 1 Baneling will never kill anything other than just links. So he should be fine. Impact still being active with a few more links. It kind of feels like Impact wants to do something, but at the same time he's a tiny bit hesitant. It's like, man, it's cross-map Cactus Valley. Making that many units could really be risky, and if it doesn't pay off, I'm putting myself pretty far behind. He's getting decent connections there, though. This is just a pretty even game all around so far.
Yeah, it feels like he would love to be aggressive, but he's going to have to wait. More links being made here. Impact struggling a little bit with the defense back at home. Up against the Nerchio, who's about to be 2 walkers ahead. Has the Warotron about to finish a little bit later than Impact, who's already making a couple of these.
Yeah, the Roaches are going to be a little faster for Impact, but Nerchio does have a little bit of money saved up, so it really shouldn't make that much of a difference. This is getting a kind of a scary little dance here. Nerchio would obviously love to do some real damage to this hatchery, but more importantly would be spotting all these Roaches, and he will be able to find a couple of them. Picking up this Queen. No! Oh. Wow, he switches targets.
The merciful god.
I'm not sure if I think that's a... Uh-oh. Well, that could be awesome. I wonder if Impact paid attention. You think he paid attention? No? Did he just have 2 or something?
Yeah.
No, what are you doing?
Or he went to hide elsewhere?
I mean, it obviously Nerchio...
Impact doesn't know, because he's not clearing that up.
Nope.
And the 2 Banelings are being morphed inside of his base now.
Yeah,
Those could really make an impact.
Oh, very clever, Todd. Now, that could be massive. At the same time, Impact is running across the map. He has a tiny advantage, but I'm not sure if that's enough to win cross-map Cactus Valley against defensive Queens as well. Here come these Banes. Good reaction time, though, here by Impact. Ends up losing 4 drones. It could have been a lot worse. The Queens are going to make a massive difference here. The Ravages as well. No splits by Nerchio. Took a lot of damage from those Banes.
He has too much anyway. He's got Queens and Ravagers to help and fight against this.
And he obviously has the worker advantage now as well. Cross-map Cactus Valley, man, it's really hard to make these hatchery type of attacks work. It just takes forever and ever before your reinforcements arrive.
And Lair now starts from Nerchio, who feels confident enough in his initial hold to start going for that. +1 missile will start way earlier for Impact.
Yeah, but he needs to tech up. I really do feel he needs to tech up.
He needs to tech up, or he needs to bite the pillow and go for a massive attack here. Just make a ton of Roaches, hit with +1. The thing is, Lair finishes pretty fast. And then once there is clear reconstitution, it becomes another game.
Yep. I don't think... I have the feeling that Impact wants to make another hatchery attack one more time, as he's making so many Overlords. But it's going to be hard, man. Once again.
There goes that logo.
They're doing a really good job. You can spill... Oh my god, you can spill blood on the Intel Extreme Masters logo.
It's going to disappear pretty fast.
Nice.
Just like on that UFC canvas, man. Clean it up.
The cleaning crew. Well, 5 more drones now on the way for Impact. Obviously, a solid game so far for Nerchio. Thought this would be a very big win. Once again, I think this was the toughest bracket because you're looking at 5 Koreans. But when it came to this bracket, I think Nerchio had the best possible draw out there. Obviously, they used WCS points, and last year Nerchio had a crazy amount of those points. So he had a very high ranking. And that's why he was seated at the top side of the bracket. Had 2 Koreans on his side of the bracket, but they took each other out. So all that Nerchio had to do was defeat Impact, and then he would qualify. Obviously, he defeated Paranoid and the other Polish Zerg as well, which was Malcolm. No, but definitely not a bracket that Nerchio could complain about, but it's still always easier said than done.
Yeah, a lot of strong contenders here, I think, to try and qualify out of this one group. Remember, we will have Group 4 played after this one. It's going to be cool as well.
Yeah.
Mana in action.
You know what's really fun? One of the draws in that 4th bracket of the day is Mana against Indy. And that's really cool, because Indy is a streamer as well, and I think he casted some in Polish, if I'm not mistaken, but he definitely streams a lot. So that's kind of a cool game, because Indy is really not bad, but Mana's always quite good in PvP. However, this game is still going on, and Impact has just donated 2 Ravages to the funds of Nerchio. Nerchio has collected a lot of Ravager skulls.
Nerchio with a healthy supply lead here, moving across the map. Worker counts about even, but army-wise, 94 to 76 right now.
Yeah, it's still a large map. Wow, good job there, landing those balls on the
4 Ravager seconds too as well. In Nerchio's favor, some of these corrosive bile could start to land here on top of this army. They would do a ton of damage.
Killing that one Overseer, which he landed perfect balls on, is actually pretty massive, because now Impact was supply blocked and he wasn't able to produce any units for a while. One more Overlord might fall. Yes, it does. So once again, Impact is going to be supply blocked. Meanwhile, Nerchio is getting Infestors start. You know I love my Nerchio with Infestors. He's getting a 2nd Evo as well. He's probably looking at this game like, I think I have an advantage and I'm confident in my late game ZvZ. Let's go for it.
Yeah, a lesser player might have attacked here and actually overextended, but not Nerchio. Is like, I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to get into my comfort zone, get these Infestors.
It seems like he wants to make something happen at the forward base. It's very important for Impact that he has his units in the right position, but thought they're actually being pulled out of position by a couple of changelings. But now he did spot the forces by Nerchio. If Impact would have lost that forward base, that would have been disastrous for him.
Some serious Overlord hunting is happening there, by the way.
How many Overlords have died on
Nobody's
this side?
safe.
10 Overlords have fallen for Impact. Wow. That 4 Ravages thought they really paid off. For those 4. Impact's like, not again.
The Overseer is like, can you please send me home, Nerchio? Like, I don't want to do this. You're not going to look at me for 1 second eventually, and then I'll die.
Tunneling Claws is being researched. I don't think Nerchio has Tunneling Claws yet.
Yeah. What happened? He could now there.
He could fungal it if he really hates that one Overseer. It would be a massive waste, but
the army is what he wants to go for there. If he could land a big one, I mean, a lot of units are clumped up together.
It's still kind of a hard fight here on the other side of the map. Upgrades are even. And I love the spread here from Impact. This is kind of difficult. Yes, fungals are nice, but at the same time, Impact is doing a really good job in dancing his units back and forth.
Oh, very importantly, a lot of these Ravagers here were caught on the right-hand side from Impact, but Nerchio wasn't able to capitalize just yet. Another big fungal. He's going to land there.
Yeah, that's a couple of very, very juicy connections there for Nerchio, and he just picked up a lot of units. He's still pushing the issue. It's going to take a long time before the reinforcements arrive. At the same time, Impact is counterattacking with a couple of roaches on the left top side. But Nerchio is doing way more damage on the right side than Impact is doing on the left top side.
He might start doing a lot though, because like there was a lot of roaches there on the other side of the map. And
good transfuse.
Both players lost quite a few drones there. Let's see if Impact can hold on, because Nerchio just has too much supply right now, and he's gonna power through, snipe that hatchery, and then pull back with whatever units he has left there.
I must say that Impact did a really good job there in keeping that hatchery alive for much longer than it should have been alive, and because of that he was actually able to pick off like 7-8 additional units from Nerchio. Obviously losing the base is very painful, but I really don't think there's anything he could have done about it. Nerchio was just too far ahead and obviously had perfect execution with his attack.
This is actually really annoying here, having a couple burrowed roaches in inside of his main base. Very good use of those by Impact there. We might be starting to see some spores here very soon from Nerchio if he wants to make sure that doesn't keep on happening, because otherwise he's going to keep on losing drones, and then, I mean, Impact he lost a couple of walkers, but he was taking his fourth, so he transferred them there, and now he's retaking the initial third that he had.
Yeah, it's not that bad, but he's still down 40 supply, and he doesn't have an infestation pit, right? Or am I mistaken? Did he get an infestation pit?
I didn't see one.
No.
He's just on pure roaches, and Nerchio started +1 carapace earlier. That they're both on +2 missile right now in terms of upgrades.
Yeah, Nerchio has double evo, correct? Because he got the second evo in the natural, in the back of the natural, yeah. So he could eventually even go up to Hive as well. I mean, he's maxed out, he has a bank, why not? I wouldn't mind seeing a Hive here.
Nerchio moving out. This is definitely going to trigger a couple roaches to be unburrowed inside of his mineral lines there, I think on the 4th base right now.
Big series here for Impact, of course, as well. As good as Impact is, going up against a couple of these Korean Terrans in the lower bracket is not what you want to have when you traveled all the way from Korea to Poland to participate here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship in Katowice. There we have the Hive on the way, by the way, Todd. I like that. You know, Nerchio saved up a little bit of money in case they had a big fight. Wanted to make sure that he could remax. Now he said, okay, enough is enough. I'm rich enough. I'm still maxed out. Let's go for Hive. Let's see if I can get some use of the double evo.
Impact, it again really feels like he actually wants to attack and make something happen, but because Nerchio is just so sound defensively, and always has infestors in good position, it's just not possible for him. But when you have this crazy amount of Ravagers, you can kind of stand from afar and land some huge corrosive bite on top of even buildings to try and snipe the hatchery. If he could, Nerchio's out of position for 1 second.
Yep, good multi-prong here by Impact, and Nerchio indeed out of position is going to make it a little harder to get the fungus that he was hoping for. He still gets a couple of decent ones. He has units coming from the south side as well. This army of Impact, I think, is super dead, Todd. There are so many roaches and Ravagers. How much damage can Impact do at the 4th base of Nerchio? It's incredibly important that he does crazy damage there. Well, he killed it, and 6 drones.
Ravager's not the fastest unit, and with Impact's army just going up in flames here, I think Nerchio is just going to set up for a massive counterattack, which may end this series and qualify him for the rest of the tournament and group stage.
Nerchio just had the better army, right? He had the infestors. They did die now, but he had the better upgrades.
Okay, Roddy, if there ever was a time to look at the supply, I'm sorry for repeating myself so many times. I think he would be now. Army supply 150 to 77. And Impact, I just don't see how he's going to be able to stay in this game much longer.
Seems like Nerchio is going to do it. There was obviously a little bit of pressure on his shoulders. A few more good corrosive balls will land on the last units of Impact. But Nerchio, who is still maxed out, yes, he lost his 4th base, but his army is overwhelming. Impact is still trying to counterattack a little bit on the other side of the map, but Todd, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have anything else left. A fist pump this time. Not a nod of approval, but a fist pump as King Arthur himself qualifies for the group stage of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
It's very convincing play here, I think, from him in this series. Just a little bit of a faux pas in game number 2, but other than that, quite clean performance. And Impact will get a chance to qualify through the loser brackets.
It's going to be hard, though.
Coming up. Yeah, he's going to have to face Arctur or Lucera.
And then probably one of the Terrans.
Yeah.
Maybe a Bunny, maybe a Gumiho, maybe a Jokji.
Maybe Hino, if he uses his pills well.
No, I actually watched Hino against Bunny.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't pretty. Does Bunny...
The pills didn't work?
No, the pills didn't work. Bunny did advance from that one. Fun series. Congratulations to Nerchio. We're going to head over to a very small break, and after that we'll be back with an interview with Sue and Nerchio, and of course we're going to check in with Claris and the boys. But first, a little break. You're watching the Intel Extreme Masters live from Poland.